So have you got the title for episode 9? Because I was remiss and I did
I
not
do.
write
Yep.
down the...
It's called Come As You Are.
Of course it is. The Nirvana song. Nice little Seattle throwback there. But of course it is. And that aired on the 9th. So yeah, last week. And this one was written by Stacey Okinola. And she wrote 510, which was the one with the haunted house that ate Theo and Travis.
Ah, okay.
And that episode had Peggy and Dana in it, and so there was we'll get onto that, but
Yes.
Peggy and Dana brought someone that we were not particularly keen on into our lives.
No.
So that's where Stacey dug Peggy and Dana up from, because she dealt with Peggy and Dana when they fell over and beat themselves up. And
Ben wanted to accuse them of domestic
Ben wanted to report them, for domestic abuse. I think she also wrote 517, which is when Karina's green card application comes through, and they had that beautiful scene at the end, the really gorgeous scene at the end of 517, where Maya comes home from her shift and wakes Karina up, and they have that like little moment. So Stacey Okinola has got some writing chops behind her too. So should we dive in?
Yeah, let's go.
So again, the incident in this one, there's not really an incident to speak of. But we've got Theo back out in his old neighborhood, this time with Vic, because Theo's been like having a look at the spate of fires that's been going on in his old neighborhood. And he can see that a lot of them are linked to buildings that haven't been inspected in a while. And so then this fits in with what you were telling me about the redistricting, and fits with what you were saying about maybe 23 having shut down, because he says that it now falls within 19's jurisdiction. It's now in 19's district. Yeah. So Beckett, in a passive-aggressive way, calls him Scooby-Doo and says he can go out and investigate and do some inspections if he wants. Right. So he drags Vic out with him, and they head straight to Tomas's shop and basically get stuck there for the whole day.
Right. Yeah, that was, seeing Theo kind of regress and go back to 14-year-old Theo. That was interesting. And then seeing how Vic handled it. I think Vic handled it very well. Yeah. She's like, we're here for a job, and if you're not going to do it, I am. I didn't like how they wrote when he was like, you need to watch your girl.
Relax. Bro, you got to handle your girl.
I didn't like that at all. I was like,
no.
I remember looking at my mom and saying, watch your girl. Excuse me?
Like, yeah, you got to handle your woman or something.
Yeah.
And Theo did nothing. Theo just let it go.
He was like, I got this.
Yeah. Yep. And it is like he's regressed to being this 14-year-old kid, and they're treating him like the 14-year-old boy they remember, yes. not the professional that's there to do a job, and he's letting them them treat him that way. But I think when it comes to your partner, they start doing that to your partner, that's the point at which you would hope that you would kind of speak up and say, no, hold on.
Yeah, for sure.
But you're absolutely right. Vic handled it absolutely perfectly. And also, and she even was trying to say to him, we're here to help. And helping means not letting the place catch fire. Right. And as well, I mean, she knows the implications of that, because her parents' restaurant caught fire.
She does. Yeah.
So, she's dealing with it in exactly the right way. And I think Theo handled it probably as badly as he could.
He did. Yeah.
But I guess, I don't know. We've all got like childhood baggage, right? And I guess if he hasn't seen these people since he's 14 years old, and then I think, actually, I wonder if there was like some comfort in that.
Yes.
For him as well, because when they get back to 19, they're in the locker room and she calls him on it. And she says, you were code switching. And I wonder if, and he says, that he can't be the Theo that she saw in the barbershop at work if he wants to be taken seriously, if he wants to get ahead, etc.
Yep.
Which is a completely, which is a really sad indictment of things, to be quite frank. But also I wonder if there's if the reason that he kind of did get kind of overrun by them and kind of just fell into that role is because there was some comfort and some familiarity in it. Mm-hmm. And it was easy because he didn't have to kind of put on a front. And I wonder if he moved out of there when he was 14, and Vic says she hasn't seen that side of him. So I wonder if he's, rather than having grown out of being that Theo, if he kind of repressed that Theo and constantly lives kind of in this kind of persona of the more, I don't know, like, like that he tones himself down, and that he lives as this kind of toned down version of himself now. I wonder if that's the thing.
No, I agree 100%. I do think he finds comfort in it, that, he says he lived, that's where he lived, and then they moved when his dad died. So he probably has a lot of comfort there because that's where his dad was. Yeah, I agree.
Maybe those men remind him of his father, and it's nice for him to have the old dynamics and to be treated like that kid again, to have a father figure come in and, bust his balls about his haircut and, and all that stuff. Like, if, to have that, that strong male presence that he's been missing since he lost his dad. Yeah, I think you've probably hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't know that we've got, I don't have too much more to say about that. I think that these fires are definitely going to have more political implications.
Yeah, I think we're definitely going to see
especially
more
with
of it.
Yeah, and with Tomas's theory as well. All his friends were making fun of him, kind of acting as if he's a conspiracist, but he says, doesn't he, that basically, like, there's some sort of new folks that are coming in and trying to buy up properties, and if they can't buy them up, that they're trying to smoke. He thinks they're trying to smoke them out.
Yes.
And I think that there might be something to that, and I do think that Dixon is somehow involved, because I think it was in season 3 he got Sullivan involved in briefly when Sullivan had his drug scandal.
Yep.
He briefly got Sullivan involved, didn't he, in kind of basically like just green lighting like these checks, these kinds of things, the safety checks.
Yes.
Just kind of getting people, or trying to get Vic to just like sign it off and put it through without actually doing the inspection, in exchange for keeping it quiet, because that was politically advantageous for Dixon. So I wouldn't be surprised if if Dixon's behind this in some way.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
And the other thing that I thought of as well is because I wonder if the fact that some of these fires are due to lapsed inspections and it's now under 19's jurisdiction, I wonder if he's also going to use that as like a stick to beat them with.
Yeah, it could make them look bad.
In his ongoing feud against 19. So those were my only thoughts on that, really.
Yeah, those are powerful thoughts, because he could try to get all of 19 shut down if it got serious enough, right? And he could be behind them. So, yeah, I think there's a lot to watch there for future episodes.
Yeah, so I think they're easing us into it. Right, light relief. We're back to Eli, who is fast becoming the comedy element of Station 90. This guy, my God. So Eli, Travis, and Andy again. Eli's come by with a subpar breakfast. And by the way, can I just say, when he says that bringing cream cheese with bagels is an American thing, I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed for my country. I'm sorry. This guy does not speak for me. You should not be messing with bagels unless there is copious amounts of cream cheese involved. And I'm sorry, is all.
No, 100%. Even get the flavored ones. Like, go all out. You need cream
Yes,
cheese.
you need cream cheese. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry, he doesn't speak for us all. Oh, and the other thing that made me feel so old, so old. So we've got Vic and Andy grooving to My Pony,
Yeah.
dry humping the kitchen counter. All over social media, everyone's going, "Oh, the Magic Mike song, the Magic," and I was like, "What? Who the what now? That's My Pony by Genuine. That's not the Magic Mike song. That's a Genuine song."
Yeah.
And I'm not, but that just shows how old I am and how young the audience is, because that song was released in like the mid-90s.
Yeah. Yep.
And I vaguely know what Magic Mike is, but I definitely know who Genuine is. But
Right.
but the kids on social media have made me feel very, very old.
Yeah, I know
but
Danielle commented once that she thought all her fans were like born in like the late 90s. Like, we're all super young.
Oh, maybe we're the exception. I don't know.
I know. I was like, okay, like I'm 2 years older than you, so.
Oh God. Well, anyway, it was a very funny moment, and I'm sure Genuine will be thrilled that his song is now finding a new audience.
Right.
Of these little baby Station 19 fans. But Eli's looking for a heartwarming moment because hearts win elections.
They do.
So they take him on a ride along, and he's acting like a child in the back of the rig, playing with all the equipment. And then they turn up at a school where a football player and a mascot are having a slap fight over a girl. And the girl they're fighting over says that she's done with boys and she wants to date grown men who don't punch each other in the face and try to control her with their patriarchal BS. And Andy says,
"You're in for a rude awakening." Someone more.
Yep, that was so funny when she kind of rolled her eyes a little bit and was like, I'm sorry, but yeah, that was funny.
And then, proving her point, Eli tries to defend her honor, jump in front of Andy and takes a punch that is not intended for him, but let's face it, he's probably deserved for a couple of episodes. He deserved that punch for the bagels, if nothing else. And then he almost passes out at the sight of his own nose blood. He's not covering himself in glory at all.
No, he's not. That scene was funny though, to see how skittish he is and things like that. They've definitely had Andy and Maya be the comedy relief of the episodes.
Yes. But anyway, it turns out that the duck has managed to impale himself on the cage inside his duck suit. So what started out as like a comedic little slap fight is now a real crisis, because this guy might die in the back of the rig. But of course, Eli has to insert himself with his patriarchal BS again and tell Andy the best way to get to the hospital. Absolutely.
I know, and then Travis is like, if you don't get there now, he's going to die. And they just both they don't say anything. They just kind of move their eyes side to side, and it's quiet.
Yeah, yeah. But again, Eli, far from covering himself in glory. And then he finally has an aha moment when they get back to the station and they're all sharing their war stories of the ways that they've all been beaten up whilst in the process of trying to save a life. And he finally respects them. I was going to say he has a newfound respect for them, but he never had any respect for them before for that to be like refreshed or newfound in any way. It's just found for the first time.
Yeah, for the first time.
So yeah. And then, of course, we have the moment that he sees Andy in nothing but a towel.
Yep, and he finally gets the courage. Yeah,
we swoon further, and he says that he's going to make a complaint because his disclaimer said nothing about being decked. Do you use that phrase in America, decked?
Yep. Yes.
You do? Okay. because it sounds really English to say, oh yeah, she decked him one. Like that's
Yeah.
But okay, but yeah, he says that the disclaimer said nothing about being decked by teenage girls, but he will reconsider his complaint if Andy will let him take her out, even if it's a pity date. So, which I think Andy would like to think it's a pity date, but it's not a pity date.
Yeah, no, it's not a pity date. Yeah, I agree. And I kind of like how they left that. Like when she said yes, and then he was like tomorrow, and she was like no,
No.
and he was like okay, and kind of left. I kind of liked that. I thought that was cute.
Yeah, it still gave her the upper hand. Like she was giving away some ground, but not too
Yeah.
much. She's still going to give him a hard time. She's still not going to make it easy for him.
Yeah, I like that.
So
a lot.
yeah, no, that was good. And I know that you're a big fan of Andy's. I know that you're kind of Team Marina now, but I know you started as a big supporter of Andy's, and that you're still a big Andy fan.
I did. Andy is the one that I connected with first, and really, I loved Andy. And I still do, but the Team Marina kind of overshadowed it a little bit.
Yeah. So, but going back, but kind of slipping back into your Andy fan shoes, do you like Eli for Andy?
I don't know. Going below the surface, because the flirting and stuff, that's just, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. She's been hurt by every person she's been with. And with the sexual assault that's still recent, they kind of just ended it, and that was it.
Yeah.
I'm just very protective of her and getting into a relationship. I think that they would get along very well, and I like that Eli brings her fun side out. She's not so serious with him.
Yep.
The only thing that worries me is I don't trust him as the politician side, and I don't want her to get hurt again by something that he might do that's crooked.
Yes. Yeah. Because I mean, I agree with you. I like the lightness that he brings out in her, because both Jack and Robert were both very serious, very heavy, and everything. And she was going through a hard time during both of those relationships, and so she brought her own kind of weight to it, and everything just seemed so heavy and bogged down, and everything felt difficult and negative and heavy, just really heavy. And I love that he she gives him a hard time, but he kind of takes it in he doesn't bite back, or if he does, it's in a very like light-hearted, funny way. And she can't get heavy and moody and kind of get like intense with him, because he just won't let her. His energy is such that it can't get there. So I love that about them. And a lot of people online have been saying that they don't trust him. I think it's the accent, I think it's our accent. People don't trust us. We all sound shifty. But people have been saying that they think that maybe he's kind of in on something with Dixon, and that they don't trust him. I think that his intentions are good. I think that he genuinely is one of the good guys. I think he really does want Travis to win, and he wants Travis to win for the right reasons. However, I think that where there might be some tension is in his methods, because I don't know that his methods are going to meet with the standards that 19 have, because they're all, morally very much on the straight, and there's nothing morally ambiguous about them. And I think that possibly he might think that, the end result, it doesn't matter how you get there, that the ends justify the means. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, well, we've already got an example where, he leaked, Travis said, please don't leak that story, and he did it anyway. So I wonder if there might be more of that to come, which is not to say that he's a bad guy, just that he doesn't necessarily do things in the way that 19 do things, is my view. I could be horribly wrong.
No, I agree. And I think that's why there's the mistrust with a lot of fans, is because they see that. So, no, I agree.
And the accent. So, But so the next story is kind of heavy because it's Uncle Vinny.
Yeah.
So it's a clinic day, and Sullivan takes in a guy, a heavily intoxicated old man. We know he's heavily intoxicated because the smell of him literally knocks Sullivan back.
Right.
He's got severe burns on his chest, and he has no idea how he came by them because he was blackout drunk when it happened. He just woke up with all these horrific burns. We learn that he was a military man for 30 years. He's got a massively distended belly from liver cirrhosis. Ben gets involved in trying to treat him. And basically, Beckett spends the whole episode trying to get Ben, Sullivan, and Jack to throw him out.
Yep.
And I initially thought that it was because it was obvious that he, suffers from alcoholism, and Beckett sees a little bit too much of himself reflected in this guy, and so he wants him basically out of his sight. But of course, then the big reveal comes that actually the reason that Beckett wants him to go and get treatment in a hospital is because it's his uncle.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I liked when Beckett finally went in to talk to him himself. I liked that scene, even though it didn't end well. It was good for Beckett to see that.
yes, and I feel like we finally saw a glimmer of Sean and not his disease.
Right.
Because it's the first time we've seen anything, even reminiscent of compassion from him. Mm-hmm. And he says, doesn't he, you can come and stay with me. Come and stay with me. Just go to the hospital. Then afterwards, come and stay with me. You don't have to go into a detox. Yeah. Come and be with me. And I felt like maybe that's who Sean really is, rather than Beckett, the alcoholic. I think most of the time it's his alcoholism talking. Sure. And that this is the first time that we actually see Sean the man and not his disease for me. But of course, as you say, it doesn't end well. He basically says, "You're 20 years too late. I'm fine as I am," and then promptly collapses.
Yep.
Yep. So, and then that kind of block closes out with Sullivan coming in to check on him. And we find out that Uncle Vinny's been admitted for observations, and Sullivan tries to he says to him in a very pointed way, doesn't he? Like, I hope your uncle gets help, right. or at least some rest. And I mean, what does Beckett do right away? Reaches for the bottle.
So as soon as he's gone.
Well, we see him close the blinds, right?
Yeah, like lock the door and close the blinds.
And we know exactly what happens when the door's locked and the blinds are closed. We know that the bottle's coming out.
Yeah, very different from us knowing that there's going to be some bout go wow with Karina and Maya.
Oh yeah, a very different locking of the door and closing of the blinds.
Yes, very different reason.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of Karina and Maya, the last kind of block is their story, and so we actually Maya kind of bookends this episode. So Maya has the opening scene, and she's not maniacally cleaning this time. This time she's trying her damnedest to meditate. Yes. And my fiance, like on a personal note, my fiance was absolutely wetting herself laughing at Maya trying to do this mindful meditation app, because it literally was a scene from our bedroom. Like, it literally could have been a scene from our bedroom with me, like, sitting there fidgeting, opening one eye. How long has it been? Can I get up? Yeah, nah. Because people like Maya and I are not built for mindfulness and meditation.
Yeah,
sure. We are built for maniacal cleaning and falling off treadmills. But bless her, all she can think about is Karina, and she's having all these flashbacks and like having all these memories. And like, tell me if this is just me and my dirty mind, but it absolutely cracked me up. And because I don't know if it was intentional on the part of the director or editor, whoever put this together initially, but the app says, be aware of the sensations in your body. And at the time that the app says, be aware of the sensations in your body, the flashback that Maya has is of I want to have all the romance and all the sex that goes with making a baby, where Karina slides her robe down off her shoulder and takes Maya's shoe off and tosses it over her shoulder. And like, she's picturing her wife basically, literally disrobing. And then the app's like,
pay attention to the sensations in your body.
Maya just scoffs, like, ugh, and gets up. And I wondered if they did that on purpose and if she's aware of a specific sensation in her body and if it's been a while.
Yeah, that is so funny. I didn't put that together, but I could definitely see that being on purpose. That's so funny.
It made me chuckle. And eventually she holds her hand up and scowls at the phone. Yeah.
I like that too.
It was brilliant. And then calls her, and we know she's going to start to leave a voicemail, but we're not privy to the contents of the voicemail. And then we see Karina for the first time since she 5150'd Maya walking into 19.
So when she walks into 19, I love the little kind of nervousness she showed, after she looked at her phone, to see that I loved how she had her saved in there as Bambino, by the way. I thought that was so cute.
Yeah, and I wonder when that changed, because she was always just in there as Maya, because when the stuff was going on with Andrew and they were in the car chase, it pops up on her phone and it just says Maya. So I wonder at what time she became Bambino, and it is very cute. The fact that she hasn't changed her back to Maya.
Right, so that's a good thing. But,
exactly.
She kind of appeared a little bit nervous to me to be in there, and then, I love when he gave her the coffee and she was like, put the stick in her mouth and just like...
The stick in her mouth? Yeah.
Yeah. But obviously, and when Jack asked how Maya was, I was like, wait a minute. You should know how Maya is, Jack. Like,
yeah, you were the one that picked her up. So it literally felt like, it was like, oh, I've done my bit. I picked her up off the floor. I dumped her on a gurney.
Yeah.
And jobs again. Like, why haven't you called? Why haven't you pinged a text? Like, why haven't you done something?
They all could have texted her, honestly. So that bothered me. But, obviously Karina gets the patient right away.
Home wrecking Pam.
Yeah. And I love seeing her get to practice as a doctor. I think she does a really good job.
Yes.
Being a doctor. I didn't really care for the flirting that Pam was very heavy on the flirting, like very, like almost invasive with the flirting.
Look, the woman's got eyes. Well, look, it was all very awkward. Anyway, first of all, I blame Peggy and Dana for this entirely. And they've obviously been like saying to their neighbor, "Oh my God, you should see this woman. She's so freaking hot." Because she says, "I was warned you were a great beauty, but I wasn't as prepared as I thought," which is, somewhat forward to say to your physician. But Karina doesn't kind of say, we need to keep this professional. She just kind of is very kind of polite and sweet. So, "Oh, no, it's fine. You're glowy too. It's all good." And,
I was just gonna say, so I don't know if you guys do this over there, but when people are pregnant, we say that they're glowing.
You're glowing, yeah.
So when Pam told Karina she was glowing, do we think Karina's pregnant? And she just doesn't know because she hasn't tested?
No, I just think that it was because
why would they use that word?
Well, I think that maybe it was just like a nice, like, it is a nice compliment. Someone said you actually glow. And then, but I think that it was like a nice, it just lent itself to the writing, I think, for Karina to say, oh, you're glowing yourself, and for her to say, yeah, but you have to say that because I'm pregnant. For Karina to go, no, it's not just that. And so I think it's that. I don't think she's pregnant. I kind of hope she's not pregnant. I don't care for that storyline. But I don't. But my feeling is that she's not pregnant. That it was just like an appropriate word to use to keep the conversation going in terms of like the writing.
Okay.
Is my feeling. And I also think if we're looking at we don't really know the last time that they tried, but do we think it was like around, because it was like Halloween, right, that that Karina did the test on her own,
right,
or shortly thereafter, maybe it was the next episode, maybe it was episode 5, but and she says to Pam that they've kind of put a pin in the baby making. So I think that maybe she'd know by now if she was pregnant.
Okay.
I could be horribly wrong, but that's maybe it's wishful thinking, because I just don't care for it.
Do you think Jack should have interfered? Because he spent the whole episode chasing Ben around, that they should do something about it.
It was hilarious with the wheelchair.
Yeah, you're right.
Like just wheeling a wheelchair back and forth past the cubicle.
Yep.
Bless him. No, I think that Ben has a point. I think Ben was being dad. I think Ben was being reasonable. I also think that Karina is just like she's that kind of person. She's tactile, she's soft. She's Italian. They're all very they're very touchy feely, it's all, and she is a soft, sweet person. And I also think that she's probably, spent all of this time feeling unwanted, unlistened to. Maya's been giving her zero attention, and there is probably a part of her that thinks, you know what, this actually feels nice.
Yeah, it felt good.
There's somebody
just receive that.
It felt good.
Yeah, sure.
Someone being interested in her, asking her questions.
Yeah, sure.
Do you still see yourself, having a baby? And she got to talk about her hopes and dreams for motherhood, and she was having an adult conversation with somebody that wasn't being combative, that wasn't being dismissive. And you know what? It feels nice to be flirted with. It does. And especially, she's in a vulnerable place. And when Pam says, I know you're vulnerable and I wasn't trying to take advantage, Pam, you were definitely trying to take advantage.
Because she was
so Karina forceful. But Karina is vulnerable. And so maybe there was, I don't think Karina was flirting. I think Karina was just being Karina. But she definitely, I think, was aware of Pam flirting and didn't want it to, was like happy for it to carry on. And I think that's fine also. Like, I don't, because she wasn't a bad place. And I think that it was very harmless from Karina's side. So I think that it would have kind of affected their relationship, like her relationship with her patient. And I think it would have made things awkward if she'd said to her, you know what, this is inappropriate, and she answered all the questions the correct way.
Mm-hmm.
Are you married? Yes, I am. And it took her a while before she said, actually, we're separated. It wasn't, yes, I am, but we're separated. It was, yes, I am married. And so I feel like that was probably her way of like putting a stop to it, of trying to, giving the opportunity to Pam to put a stop to it. I'm a married woman.
Which she didn't.
So
she didn't care.
Which she didn't. Pam just plowed right on.
She was like, I want it. I'm going after it. So.
Yeah, and you just and normally I would say all power to you, Pam. But as soon as somebody says, "I'm married," I'm off the market, I'm married. That's the point at which you just put your eyes back in your head, Pam, and stop noticing the glow and just see the white coat and be professional.
Right.
But,
you can think she's pretty. That's fine, but that's it.
But that's it, exactly.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think it was necessary for Jack to intervene. I think Ben was right. Karina's a good doctor, and even even if the Maya thing wasn't an issue, even if, you know, that wasn't part of the problem, there's no way that she would, in my mind, date a patient. And I think that if the writers do go that route, and we find out in the next episode that she did go for coffee with Pam, I think that's terrible writing, in the same way that Maya giving Beckett the booze was terrible writing, because it's completely out of character. So
yeah, they need to respect the characters, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I don't think there was ever any need for Jack to intervene, and I don't think that the coffee / ice cream / bar date happened.
Okay. So let's get into Maya laying in bed and hearing the keys jingle on the door, and Karina walking in,
my
and
God.
Maya jumping out of bed.
Maya getting out of that bed is like my dog racing to the kitchen as soon as he hears the fridge.
Yeah.
Like zero hesitation.
Right.
God bless her. She's just been that's literally all she's been waiting for, right? Is the jingle of those keys.
Yes. Yeah.
Bless
Until
her
she
little
fixes
heart.
her sweater when she gets up and kind of touches her hair a little bit.
Yeah.
So first, did Karina really come home just to get some shampoo?
I'm fairly confident that you can buy whole bottles of shampoo in shops, that you do not need to go back to your apartment to get a half-used bottle of shampoo that's all soggy, wet and drippy out of your shower. You could just go to the store and pick up some shampoo. The shampoo was definitely just a vehicle for going to check on Maya, in my mind.
Just to make sure she was okay. And
yeah,
you know, kudos to both of them, but again with Danielle, with Maya, I loved the little subtleties that showed she was trying. Like she was fidgeting her hands and making undoing fists, and when Karina said, "I need more time," which she didn't say no, she just said, "I need more time." You know, right away Danielle kind of, and then she, you know, kind of pulled herself back, but she kept that kind of furrowed frown look on
very
her face.
clenched. Yeah, that tightness in her body.
But she was trying, right? She was trying so hard.
She was trying so hard. She was trying so hard, and just that whole like their chemistry is just as incredible when they're mad at each other as when they're trying to not rip each other's clothes off. Like, it's crazy, the bristling between them, and it's just it's palpable. The tension was palpable, and you know, and Stefania did such a great job of you know, like not make, you know, the way that she didn't make eye contact, and that the sternness as she like moved through the apartment, like purposefully just trying to, you know, like getting her coats out of the closet, and it was so good. And the way that she said, when because Maya basically says the exact same thing that she said in the voicemail, right, which is I'm sorry, I miss you, I love it, I'll be better, I can be better. And the way that Karina says, yeah, you said that, you know, it was just the delivery was just perfect.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, Stefania.
Yeah, you said that.
Killed that line as that role, that spot as Karina.
Yeah.
I know you and I differ. When Karina left, I wish Maya would have said something, even if it was, "I love you again," just something. But I know that her not saying something was part of her growth, but I wish she would have said something. I know you feel
in response to Karina, because
Karina says, she said,
she says, I'm happy for you, but this is just something else you're doing to get you to keep your job, or to get your job back.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
And then Maya just stands there with her hand on the door.
Yeah. And I loved that choice for Maya. I just thought, good for you. Like, well done you. Like, that for me was the biggest sign of growth for her. Because she's, in that moment, she's put Karina first, because that's that's what you want to say, right? Like everything in your body is screaming to say, no, it's not. Of course I'm doing it for us. Of course I'm doing it for you. I don't want to be here on my own. I love you. I miss you, my wife. But Karina's not in a place to hear that. Karina and Karina rightly says, it's not like I haven't spent the better part of the year begging you to get help.
Yes.
And so from Karina's perspective, it's just, it's like, please get help, please get help, please get therapy, over and over and over again, and being told, no, I don't need it. You're the one that needs therapy. You don't get to make decisions for me. I'll deal with my stuff. You deal with your own stuff. You're the one that's not easy to live with. You're hormonal and you're the one with all the issues, blah, 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 blah. And then as soon as in Karina's head, and actually, in fact, it is what happened. As soon as FD says, well, you can't come back to work until you see a therapist, boom, there's a therapist at her door, and she's welcoming her in.
Yep.
So what Karina doesn't know, which we obviously know, Karina wasn't in the room when Maya was completely ignoring the fact that Diane was saying, this is for you to go back to your job. Do you want to go back to your job? Ignoring that and saying, no, I want my wife.
Right.
Where's my wife? I want to call my wife. Obviously we were privy to that. Karina is not. So from Karina's perspective, this is just something that Maya's doing for a job. And Maya really needs to show her that. It wasn't the right time. It would have descended into an argument, in my opinion. Karina was mad. She had a backup. And it just wouldn't have gone well. So I think that Maya did, as painful as it would have been for her, and as much as I'm sure it was, that tension that you were talking about that she's holding in her body must have still been there, to say, no, of course I'm doing this for you. I think she did absolutely the right thing. And I think she's, talks cheap.
Yeah.
And I think that it's about time that she started really showing Karina that she means it, and that her marriage is the most important thing to her, and that's what she's working towards, is making their marriage a safe place to be for Karina, and the right environment for them to raise a child in.
True. Very true.
So she needs to show Karina, and as we know, Karina is the queen of the grand gesture, right?
Right.
Of the, let's make it, get a table full of food, whack on some Italian music, whack the heating up because the clothes are coming off. Like,
right.
She's the queen of like the romantic grand gesture. And I think it's about, I'm not necessarily suggesting that Maya, pack a table of food and take her clothes off. That's not Maya's style, but she needs to step up and start showing Karina the way Karina consistently shows her that, that she loves her, that she needs her, that she wants the best for her. So I think that whatever Maya version of a grand gesture is, that's what needs to happen. Like, not necessarily like an empty grand gesture, but she needs to, really show Karina in positive, meaningful ways.
Yeah, she's fight for her, right?
100%. Yeah.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah. But yeah, again, another great episode. They, absolutely killed it. And I think that the takeaway there was Karina saying, I need more time. I can't just jump back in.
Yeah.
And also, actually, I think we're kind of like forgetting Karina's trauma in all of this. Like seeing your spouse like that in a hospital bed and knowing that they've almost killed themselves. I mean, could quite easily have gone the other way. Like it would have been terrifying for her.
Yeah. And even seeing, she had to make difficult decisions for her brother when he had mental crisis. And
yes.
So just relating that back, that could be a trigger
and
for her too.
She had to take care of her father because her father, obviously, she grew up with her father having untreated bipolar. So she, and it was just her and her father in the home. So she's had to be a caretaker for and we know from, because she said to Ben said something about like incurring the wrath of Beckett, and she says, "I'm not scared of angry men. I grew up with one." So we know that she had a pretty rough time with her dad. Then, as you say, Andrew had his mental health crisis. We know she lost her mum when she was quite young. Then she lost Andrew, and that's pretty recent for her.
Yeah.
And now she's having to deal with another mentally ill person, and could have been dealing with a serious injury or the death of her wife. And so, poor Karina. And she's still got to hold down this job, man. Like, it's not, it's a rough, she's had a rough time. And so I think that, when she said, that seeing you like that in that bed, seeing what you did to yourself, I really felt for her. And I was like, oh God, she's been through a really traumatic time as well. And I think that we've probably forgotten that in it all.
Yeah, there could be
but she just needs time.
Right, she just needs time. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of room for the writers with Karina and her past and her trauma too.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. Yeah, and it would be nice if they fleshed out her character in that way a bit. I know that we're getting her fleshed out like a little bit more now. For too long, she was just Maya's partner and didn't really exist, like didn't really have an identity outside of she's Maya's missus. And now that they've been bringing in the clinic and stuff, we're seeing more of Karina and developing her relationship with Jack and developing her relationship with Ben. That's nice, but it would be nice, as you say, to actually kind of get more of her past, learn more about where her mind is at, how she thinks, and why she thinks the way she thinks.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you see any kind of themes in this one? Like the last one was kind of felt like it was kind of family and generational, the passing on of things down through the generations. Did you see any kind of themes tying everything together in this one? All I could think of. You go on if you have something, because
no, I was just thinking off the top of my head, maybe conflict with family, because Theo had conflict with family at the barbershop.
Yeah.
And then Karina and Maya having conflict, Beckett and his uncle having conflict, so maybe familial conflict.
Maybe familial conflict, yeah. And the only other thing that I thought of was maybe like the shifting of perspectives a little bit. Like I felt like we got to see a different side of Theo that we hadn't seen before when he was around the people that he grew up with.
Right.
And then Eli actually has an aha moment and has a change of perspective on Travis. And I think that, I wonder if maybe he'll kind of take the campaign a bit more seriously now that he understands Travis. I think he's had a change of perspective on Travis and doesn't necessarily just think that he's, stupid and noble. So I think maybe he's had a shift in perspective. And then I don't think Beckett's had a change of perspective at all, but I think our perspective on Beckett, possibly they've tried to change our perspective on him. We've seen him now, we understand him a little bit, that the alcoholism is generational, and it's kind of it's part of their family. So I think maybe we're supposed to have a little bit more compassion for him now.
Yeah, maybe.
That we're supposed to change our perspective. And I also felt like a lot of the whole baby stuff has been from Maya's perspective, and it was because it was on Maya's terms, right? Like Maya was the one that put her foot down and said, no, baby. And then it was, and Karina's perspective didn't really matter. Mm-hmm. And then when the baby was going to happen, again, that was on Maya's terms. It was just literally, let's do it. Let's have a baby. And so the decision making and the rationale for not having a baby and for then having a baby has all been from Maya's perspective. And so I felt like we got to see Karina's perspective on things, and she says that she's had dreams about singing to them, making biscotti and teaching them to drive, and that she sees herself having a son because she pictures Andrea as a baby, and so she always pictures herself having a son. And then we kind of see Karina through Pam's eyes a little bit as well.
Yeah, for sure.
We
do. She describes her very well.
Yeah. So, and then of course we see at that very end, as we just touched upon, we see Maya's situation through Karina's eyes. We've been so focused on Maya and how her mental health issues have affected her and her relationship with Karina and her relationship to her job, and and how it's affected her, and really haven't stopped to think too much about how this has affected Karina. And even like the chatter on social media, is a lot of it was like, oh, Karina's abandoned Maya in her hour of need. And nobody's kind of stopped to think that Maya's kind of abandoned Karina for the last 6 months plus.
Right. Yeah. 100%.
And so I think that we maybe see Karina's perspective on that for the first time, really. But maybe I'm reaching, but that was what I saw.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it definitely had to do with family perspective and conflict, for sure.
Yeah. So we've got episode 10 tomorrow.
Yay!
It's called Even Better Than the Real Thing, and Alexandra Fernandez has written this one, and Paris Barclay's directed it, which means booms and bangs. I think they bring Paris in when they're gonna like blow stuff up, right?
Yeah, right. Which we saw a little bit in the preview, that something blows up.
Yeah, and it says, a simulation fire training goes dangerously wrong. Maya tries to make amends. Bailey encourages Karina to listen. Meanwhile, Jack's sister appears at the station with a friend, an injury, and an attitude. So that's one to look forward to. So what are you looking forward to personally? What are you looking forward to seeing tomorrow?
I'd like to see more conversation between Maya and Karina, even if it's just a little conversation that we got last week. I'd like to see what's going to happen with Dixon in the lawsuit. And I'd like to see how Andy and Eli come out. What happens there, if she goes on the date or not.
Oh, if he finally gets his date.
Yeah. How about you?
Well,
what are you?
You're kind of in my notes.
Okay.
Because I've said I'm excited to see more of the stuff with the neighborhood, see if I'm right about Dixon's involvement in that stuff. And I've put that I'm excited to see what Maya's next move is to win Karina around.
Yes.
Because she's no longer taking the eyes forward approach and turning up at the hospital crying like she did when she did the naughty with Jack. It's not going to work this time. So I'm excited to see, because I don't know what I would do in Maya's case. So I'm excited to see what, how she kind of makes steps to resolve that situation. And now I've read the synopsis and I know Bailey's in it. I'm looking forward to seeing Bailey, because Bailey takes no shit.
No,
and
she doesn't. Yeah.
So, and she'll give it to Karina straight, and she'll give it to Maya straight if she's given the opportunity. So now that I've read the synopsis, I'm excited to see Bailey too.
Me too.
So who do you think had the most growth and or the best story arc in this episode?
I think Maya showed the most growth in how she handled the conversation with Karina at the end. But I think Karina showed great strength in this episode and resilience, which I really liked. I liked the Beckett storyline too. I think that was it was an emotional thing and a good thing to plant a seed into Beckett.
Yes, 100% agree with you on that. Yeah. I actually thought that Karina had the most growth, and I thought that maybe the talking things through with Pam maybe helped her gain some perspective. And I think rather than going out on the date with Pam, I wonder if maybe talking to Pam was the catalyst for her going to pick up her shampoo.
Right, to go check on her wife. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I wonder if Karina had the most growth / movement in kind of sort of starting the great thaw maybe between
Yeah.
her and Maya.
Definitely.
But definitely, yeah. So, but I think, yeah, I think I agree with you though in terms of kind of Maya's resilience at the end, like resisting the temptation, showed a big growth moment for her. And what did you think about like which was your favorite scene? Do you think which do you think was the best scene?
My favorite scene was the one in the beginning with Maya and the meditation. I think that was so funny.
It was brilliant. It was brilliant. And I'm going to bookend you because I've said that my favorite scene, I thought the best scene was the Maya and Karina scene at the end. It
Okay,
was
so we
like,
both like the Maya scenes.
yeah, I know we're going to sound like broken records. It's not always this way for me, I promise. But I think that at the moment their stuff is the most poignant stuff. And
It is. It is.
yeah, and it was I think they paced it really well. I think the pacing was really good, like the natural breaks, and that it wasn't just like
Yep.
them like kind of like
Yep.
talking at each other. It was just very, slow, deliberate. I'm just gonna tell you this thing and I'm gonna let it sink in.
Yes.
And then it was like, okay, I've heard it, I'm letting it sink in. Okay, now I'm gonna respond.
Mm-hmm.
And it all felt yeah, and but because there was that space and that air between the lines, it kind of grew the tension, and it was this like bristling bristling tension. So for me that was the best scene of the whole lot. But the Maya stuff was genius.
It was.
At the beginning
It was.
it was. And did you have a favorite line or a favorite piece of dialogue in this one?
Uh, I don't think I had a favorite piece of dialogue in this one.
It was, I
No.
think it was all there weren't many like standout
Yeah.
lines. I thought it was all like well done.
It was.
But there wasn't, but it was all very like smooth going. There
Yes.
weren't any kind of like giant monologues or like sort of big places to, it was all like the odd line here and there, wasn't it?
Yes.
But I think if I had to pick one out, it would be and it's a really silly line, but it did stick with me, and I did think it was funny when the kid at the school says, "I'm going to date grown men who don't punch each other in the face," and Annie says, "You're in for a rude awakening."
Yeah.
That
Yes.
was, I think that was, and they had a very gifable moment in this episode as well, which we've been missing for a while. But I think that the slap fight between the jock and the duck
Oh
would
yeah.
would just like that. You could pull that out as a GIF,
Yeah.
and you'd know exactly where that was from right away. You'd be taken back there.
I think a GIF moment would be when Maya goes to the
Oh
when
yeah,
she's walking
to the
by.
phone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
to the
yeah,
phone.
absolutely. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Yeah. So yeah, there were some good moments in that one.
For sure.
But
For sure.
but there we go. We've done it. We've done it. We've got
Yeah.
to the
We've
end.
we've made it to the end, everybody. So,
And we don't have long to wait until the next episode.
nope, I can't wait till tomorrow. When I'm done working, I always go get to the dollar store and get snacks. So I'm like ready to go. On my couch at 7:45, ready to go.
Well, it remains to be seen whether I can stay up to watch it in real time, or
Yeah.
whether I'm going to have to catch up the next day because I'm old and I can't stay up until 3 a.m. anymore.
No, that would be rough to stay up that long for a TV show. That would be rough. I understand.
I've done it before. but whether I'll do it again remains to be seen. But yeah, I'm excited, and you and I'm sure we'll catch up at some point, maybe over the weekend, and do this all over again.
Yeah, for sure. I had a great time. This
Me
was so
too.
fun, and I can't wait to get it out there.
No, me either. So thanks so much, Tiffany, for spending the evening with me.
You're welcome.